Hello, travelers, and welcome to Tales for Your Trip. A little birdie told me you're going to visit New Orleans, are ya? Well, did anyone tell you about all of the ghosts, vampires, and strange things that happen to tourists? I bet you nobody did. But that's okay, because Mr. Tales will tell you all about it. New Orleans is a destination filled with music, magic, and mystery, and is also a place where monsters live in the fog, and ghosts stroll beside you in the moonlight. In this episode, you'll hear about a mysterious queen, real vampires, and a scary pirate who still walks in alleyways where you and your family are about to visit, and every single one of these stories is real. So settle in, grab your favorite snack, and keep your ears and eyes wide open, because New Orleans is unlike any other city in the United States. Our first story is about a powerful queen who practiced the magical art of voodoo, a religion that involves ancestors, various spirits, and has a connection with the physical and spiritual world. I call this story the Queen of the Cemetery. In New Orleans during the 1800s, there lived a woman named Marie Laveau. She wasn't a queen in a castle, but was a queen of something much more mysterious: voodoo. Queen Marie was a healer, a spiritual guide, and some say a powerful sorceress. People from all over New Orleans came to her for help, everyone from the rich to the poor. They visited the queen when they needed help finding love, to cure sicknesses, or to lift curses. And when the queen passed away, she was buried in the oldest cemetery in New Orleans, the St. Louis Cemetery No. 1. The queen was put to rest in a tomb with offerings and candles inside, and on the outside of the tomb, it had strange symbols scratched into the stone. But according to many who live in New Orleans, the queen never truly left, because many visitors and residents have seen a woman in a red and white headscarf appear in the grave next to her tombstone. And when they try to see who it is, the mysterious lady vanishes into thin air. Some have even reported smelling tobacco in the air, which the queen was known for using in many of her voodoo rituals. Visitors like yourself have even reported hearing faint whispers in the wind and the sound of prayers in languages they don't understand within the grounds of the cemetery. One summer day, a boy named James from the state of Florida, while visiting the cemetery, said he felt a warm hand on his shoulder while looking at her tomb. And when he turned around, he was frightened that there was nobody there. Later that evening, James was emptying his backpack and found a small pouch inside. The pouch was filled with herbs, bones, and string. He had absolutely no idea who or how they got there. Puzzled, he put the pouch with the items on the dresser in his hotel room. The very next morning, James told his parents that he had smelled the strong scent of tobacco in his room while he went to sleep. But what he didn't tell them is that he knew it was Queen Marie visiting him. Maybe even granting his wish that he had made while visiting her tomb. If you're curious about visiting the Queen's tomb, you're in luck. The Queen's tomb still stands today, still covered in marks. And many visitors from all over the world visit to make an offering. It is said that if you visit her tomb, make a wish, and leave an offering, your wish may come true, just like James did. Who knows, maybe he was one of the lucky ones and got his wish granted by the Queen. So, if you're brave enough to visit the New Orleans Cemetery, number 1, remember to be respectful. Make a wish if you dare, and if you see someone watching you from the shadows, don't run. Just nod politely. It might be the Queen herself. But Queen Marie isn't the only spirit said to roam the streets of New Orleans. In fact, New Orleans is said to have hundreds of ghosts roaming the streets, keeping visitors up at night in their hotel rooms, and have even been seen walking around in restaurants. Just a few blocks away, a different kind of darkness once lived, one that hid behind windows that were nailed shut and came out only at night. And not to mention a thirst for blood. This next tale is not for the faint of heart. I like to call this story The Thirsty Brothers in the French Quarter. In the early 1930s, two brothers lived quietly in the French Quarter, located in New Orleans. Their names were John and Wayne Carter, and to their neighbors, they were just ordinary dock workers. But the neighbors always noticed their windows were nailed shut, that the door was always closed even when it was hot outside, and that the brothers never left the house unless it was nighttime. And one strange day, they heard a girl screaming and running out of the brothers' apartment. She was barefoot and ran quickly into the street. Her complexion was pale like the snow, and she was trembling. After people came to her aid, they ran to call the local police. When the police arrived, they kicked down the brothers' door to their apartment and walked into something horrific. Something the policemen said they will never, ever forget.
Oh my God!
Inside were numerous people tied to chairs, barely alive, with two strange marks on their necks that looked like small holes and resembled vampire bites. All of them barely had any blood left in their bodies, as if someone or something had drained them. But the mysterious thing the police had reported was that there wasn't a single drop of blood anywhere, not even on the floors. It was as if someone or something drank all of their blood from those two tiny holes that were located on all of their necks. The two brothers were arrested immediately, and when the police questioned them about the horrific event, they said nothing, not even a single word. They just sat there, quiet. One of the officers that questioned the brothers remembered something peculiar about their eyes. He said they were dark as oil, something he'd never seen before. And he noticed that the brothers never blinked, not even once. The two police officers on record said that they had no doubt that the two brothers indeed were real walking vampires. The two brothers were found guilty and were executed. They were buried in two unmarked graves. As time went on, the two unmarked graves were found broken open from the inside out, as if someone from the inside escaped. How did this happen? If their graves were not marked with their names, who would have known where they were buried? Since then, tourists and residents of New Orleans started hearing stories of strange men who were seen walking the streets in the French Quarter disguised as quiet men in work clothes. And when they turn around, they disappear into the darkness. A girl named Sarah from Texas, while visiting New Orleans and dining with her family at a restaurant in the French Quarter, reported seeing two men walking in the street at night from her seat that was right next to a window. She noticed the two men were wearing clothes that looked like they were from an older time, not like what everyone else was wearing. She carefully looked closer at the two men who were walking towards her, and when they came right next to the window where she was sitting, the two men looked at her, and their eyes were completely black, not a single color of white in them. She covered her eyes in fright. She turned to her mother to tell her about the scary men, but before she could get a word out, the two men turned into a black mist and disappeared. What do you think? Do you think she really saw the Carter brothers? Or was it her imagination? Tell us in the comments, and if you like these stories so far, do us a favor and give our video a thumbs up. It really helps our YouTube channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss our next episode that very well may be your next vacation destination. So, if you're walking the streets late at night and two men offer you to come into their home for a drink, maybe you should say no and be on your merry way. And if you're brave enough, you can visit the building where all of this happened. It is located at 800 Royal Street, right there in New Orleans. And if you'd like to see exactly where that is, head over to talesforyourtrip.com. We've posted a link so you can check it out. Just maybe don't visit after dark. Now we've heard stories of ghosts and vampires. But did you know New Orleans was a hotspot back in the day for real, actual pirates?
Fire!
And we're not talking about the funny talking ones in movies, but real outlaw rum-drinking pirates. Are you ready to hear it? Our final story tonight takes place in a narrow alley in New Orleans, hidden behind the St. Louis Cathedral. By day, it's beautiful and peaceful, but by night, it belongs to something else that's ghostly. I like to call this one the Pirate's Ghostly Alley. This story is about Jean Lafitte, who was no ordinary pirate. He didn't sail the high seas looking for gold. He ran a smuggling empire right through the bayous of Louisiana, outsmarted his enemies, and even helped save New Orleans during the War of 1812. And then out of the blue, he vanished. Some rumored that he died out at sea, and others said he was captured by his enemies. Nevertheless, he was gone, never to be seen again, but not completely gone. Behind St. Louis Cathedral, down a narrow stone path called Pirate's Alley, people say Lafitte still walks in the fog, just after dark. Strange reports still have been coming in, even in 2025. A boy named Jesse, who's from the state of California, loved pirates and was visiting New Orleans with his family when he heard the tale of Pirate Lafitte on a night ghost tour. While walking down the alleyway, he stopped to imagine what it would be like to see the ghost of Lafitte. Separated from the tour as the others walked away, he found himself alone in the dark, standing in the cold alley. And just then, as he was standing there, he actually heard the sound of faint footsteps heading towards him. The footsteps got closer and louder. He couldn't believe his ears. He said out loud, "Is this really happening to me?" The alleyway felt different, heavier. Jesse's heart started pounding. He wasn't scared, maybe a little frightened, but excited. And there in front of him, a misty man in a wide-brimmed pirate hat stood there underneath a gas lamp. The man just stared at Jesse, not making a sound. Jesse didn't know what to do. He thought about yelling out to his parents to come help, but he knew this is what he wished for. Jesse took a deep breath and was about to ask the stranger, "What's your name?" But before he could get the words out of his mouth, he felt a hand on his left shoulder. He jumped, turned around, and saw that it was his mother. Scared and not being able to move, his mother asked, "Jesse, where have you been?" Jesse mumbled to his mother, "There's a man right there who looks like a pirate." His mother looked, but nobody was there. His mother said, "Jesse, you're probably scared from the guide telling you the pirate story. Now let's go, because the rest of the tour is way ahead." Jesse looked back underneath the gas lamp, but the pirate was gone. But he was certain of what and who he saw. Ever since that trip, Jesse can't wait to go back to New Orleans to see if, once again, he can get a glimpse of Pirate Lafitte. If you'd like to walk Pirate Alley, you can. It's real, and it's located right behind the St. Louis Cathedral. If you'd like to see the exact location and pictures of it, head on over to talesforyourtrip.com. But if you're brave enough to visit, and if the fog rolls in and you hear footsteps behind you, don't turn around. Just tip your hat and say, "Good evening, Captain Lafitte," and keep walking. New Orleans is a city of magic, mystery, and paranormal stories. Some are beautiful, some spooky, and some that refuse to stay buried. Thanks for joining us on this haunted journey through the Big Easy. If you liked today's episode, visit talesforyourtrip.com for photos, maps, and more spooky adventures you can take with you on your next trip. And remember, whether you're driving through swamps, flying over mountains, or just sitting around the campfire, every destination has a story, and some stories never end. And if there's a destination with a spooky story, let me know where it is in the comments so I can create an episode on it. Until next time, stay creepy, know that monsters are real, and always, always be on the lookout for something weird and bizarre on your next vacation. Thank you so much, everyone, for making it this far, and I'd like to say thank you to a few people who commented on our last tales for your trip about Mount Shasta. Rocco from California, thank you for watching and commenting. Stay spooky. Charles from Wisconsin, thank you for watching, and we'll definitely look into the skunk ape. Sounds scare-tastic. Everyone else, thank you so much for supporting this channel. And if you like to check out our merch on each episode, visit talesforyourtrip.com for awesome swag on each of our stories. Until next time.